We're going back into the fantasy world. It has been a couple of days since we've read fantasy, and so we're going to be doing that with this romantasy book, Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. Come on, if you're a sucker for romantasy, subscribe, because like I see you and I feel you. I think I have like in the middle expectations for this book because like when it comes to really popular romantasies on TikTok, I find that they're either a hit or a miss and there's no middle ground for it in my personal opinion experience with books. And so I'm in the middle. I don't want to have super high expectations for it because I have been disappointed in the past, and I also don't want to have really low expectations because that's no fun. So we'll just have neutral expectations for this book. I don't know if this is going to have one of those main heroine characters that her whole personality is that she doesn't like dresses, she loves to stab, and she's very fighty. I really hope that's not the case, but I have a feeling that's going to be the case. But from my understanding, this book seems to have a really fun kind of world in it and a good premise. And I mean, I'm a sucker for this kind of premise. So the way that I understand it is that there's this princess and she is basically now in an arranged marriage with this monster hunter. And in this world, I guess wherever she lives, it's always been safe and the monsters are basically like myths. But then when she kind of goes to this man's kingdom because they're gonna get married, turns out monsters aren't fake and they actually do exist. And so now she's basically in this kingdom with this random man and everything's trying to kill them. Is how I get it. So that's pretty much all I know. And I think that sounds like a fun premise. I love the idea of believing, oh, monsters are myths, and then boom, haha, they're actually real, and now you gotta deal with them. And I also like that the main character is 23, not 19. As I get older, I'm like, okay, I'm tired of reading about 19-year-old girls. I personally would actually want an older character so I can relate to them than 23, but at least they're not 19. So yeah, without further ado, let's crack this book right open, see what it's all about. Oh, but wait! We know the drill. This has a dust cover and then has to come off before I can read the book. And because this book is very pretty, I think that we have a very high chance of having a pretty design underneath, and that's my favorite part. I'm going to guess, I don't know, maybe there's a shield or a sparrow or like a crown or something underneath, and it's like a black book with like a gold design. So let's see if I'm right. If there's no design, I'm also gonna be really disappointed. So let's find out. Yes! I don't even know what this, oh, it's a person's face. Cool. Sweet. Oh, it's a bigger design than I thought. I was expecting like a little tiny thing, so, oh. See, there's nothing I love better than a design underneath a dust cover. Why have a dust cover with nothing under it? You need a design, and this book knows what's up. So let's read this book for real now. So I'm a little bit more than 100 pages into Shield of Sparrows, and here are my thoughts so far. I really like the world building in this book so far. I think that the way that it's set up is really interesting, where you have this like treaty, which is the Shield of Sparrows, where basically people from different kingdoms are kind of promised to other kingdoms because there's this thing that happened with the gods where they created these like pretty gnarly creatures that just attack and kill everybody every couple of like centuries or so, and so all the kingdoms have to be friends because they don't know where they're going to get attacked and they want to make sure they have reinforcements. And so our main character, Odessa, which honestly is such a good name, I think that's the name of a pizza as well, is the eldest daughter of this kingdom here where they do the Shield of Sparrows. But she's not the sparrow, it's actually her younger sister who's been trained and chosen to marry this guy. So she's actually engaged to a completely different guy, some general. And so because she's not the sparrow, she is basically neglected a lot. So she's always forced to wear these really ugly clothes, like super gray. And she has like beautiful like orangey red hair, but she has to dye it a deep brown for some reason. And she's basically not really taught how to fight either. And so obviously it comes as a surprise when this guy shows up. It's like, oh, I don't want to marry her, I'm gonna marry her instead, and points to Odessa. And Odessa's like, what the heck, like, I wasn't trained for this, I don't even want to do this. You don't want to cause like any wars or like frustrations or anything, and so she's off to get married to this guy. And so they basically get married, and now she's on her way to their kingdom, which is really cool because it seems like it's like hidden deep in the woods. We actually haven't even gotten to the kingdom itself right now because like I got the scene where they're on like the ship and stuff, and so from what it sounds like, there's gonna be like little houses inside of the trees, and I think that's such a cool and fun setting. And I'm pretty sure that this guy, the Guardian, obviously is going to be her love interest because like he's constantly like teasing her and she's all like snarky with him even though he's not the guy she married, like all this stuff. And this is where kind of my annoyance of this book comes in. Odessa is such a pick-me. She's such a pick-me. She's like, oh, you know, I don't need the dresses. I'm happy to wear the pants. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with dresses. It doesn't make you less of a woman. And then she's also just like really snarky for no reason to the Guardian, where like she seems to be normal with other people, but with him, she's like, oh, I don't like you, I'm gonna stab you, I'm gonna kill you, like I'm gonna murder this guy, I hate him so much, like he's such a horrible person. But she doesn't do that to any other character. She just decides that she hates him for no reason. Cause like, yeah, so he's like responsible for the death of like, I guess her ex-fiance's like brother. But like she doesn't even care about her ex-fiance, but for this guy, she's just really rude to for no reason. And I feel like I'm just getting tired of this kind of dynamic where the girl has no reason to hate the guy, but they just argue all the time because that's like banter. But it's so forced and it's so annoying that every single time they interact, it's not even cute. I just want to like slam my head into the book because it's just annoying. And I'm so tired of female characters like this. Like, it doesn't make you less of a woman to like girly things. But despite that, I am really interested in where the story is going to go because it has such a fun, lush, magical feel to it that as long as Odessa continues not to annoy me too much, I think I'll end up enjoying this book a little bit more because I like where it's going, even though that kind of dynamic is annoying me, especially when she's learning how to fight and she's probably gonna figure out how to fight like an expert in like 2 pages and stuff. And it's like, come on, be realistic. What I liked about Poppy in the Blood and Ash series is that she literally trained her entire life to fight and was secluded, and her whole like personality made sense for the kind of upbringing and the life and everything that she was trained to do. Same for Sarah in Flesh and Fire. But for this one, she just feels like a really bad version of that character without the complexities of it. So we'll see where it goes. But the writing itself is good and I'm enjoying the world building. So yeah, hopefully there'll be some more magic and stuff too. But yeah, I'm going to continue to read this book. I'll update you around the halfway mark. So I will see you then. So I'm definitely more than halfway through Shield of Sparrows, and I really don't like our main character. Odessa is just, I've just read way too many characters like her who, she really doesn't have really any personality at all. Her only personality trait is that she's not a very good princess and she knows how to draw. And that's about it. There's nothing interesting about her. She doesn't have any skills, no abilities, no magic, nothing. And I'm sure at some point she probably will, but she just doesn't do anything. The entire book is just her like wondering what should she do next. And it's like she's not doing anything. And then like the big plot twist was like the most predictable thing ever, which you can literally tell as soon as a certain thing is introduced and you're like, oh yeah, I know exactly where the story is going. And the banter's just not it. It feels so forced. Like she hates him for no reason, and she's just really snarky to him for no reason, which goes against everything else that she's ever like communicated with any other character ever. And I'm just tired of that. When it's done in a good way, I honestly love that though. When it's like, you know, characters who actually have chemistry together, but these characters do not have chemistry. They just like looked at each other and she's like, oh, I hate this guy. And he looked at her and he was like, oh, this is gonna be my woman kind of thing. There's also a weird obsession with the color of her hair. I thought it was gonna be important, but like so far it doesn't seem important at all. To be honest, my friends, I am struggling with this book because there's like no clear direction. It's just Odessa going somewhere, being snarky, nothing happens. She gets on a horse, she goes somewhere, she's snarky, nothing happens, she gets on a horse, and it just like that's the whole entire story the entire time. And it's like right now, like it's towards the end of the book, she's starting to get a bit of more direction of where she's going, but this should have been done way earlier in the book. I think perhaps if this book was not just from Odessa's point of view, maybe it would be a bit more entertaining because there's other characters who are doing actual stuff, but we don't see that. We see them come back from doing the cool stuff. And so a lot of the times it's just Odessa hearing about stuff that happened, getting involved, being a damsel in distress, and then like getting saved, and then being like, oh, nobody tells me anything. And it's like, why are you the main character of this book? I also find her just really unrelatable because it's not that she wasn't chosen to be the sparrow because like people don't like her. They literally tried to train her in how to fight, how to be a proper princess, how to be a spy, like all of this stuff, and she just wasn't good at it. So of course the other sister who is good at that stuff makes more sense for a really important political role. But she's always like, oh, what was me, and it's like it wasn't your role, like it didn't work for you. There's other things that you can be good at. And like, I don't know, she just really gets on my nerves as a main character. She just, ugh. And like the whole thing about her being like amazing because she jumps off a cliff in water. Okay, I really do not care about her. The thing I do like about this book though is definitely the world building and the different creatures. I really love the priests and kind of the magic that goes with that. That's really well done. It's super well thought out. I think that the world itself is very unique, and I haven't really read a world like this where it's very like forest focused. Like they live in the forest, they live in these like tree houses because the monsters roam at the bottom, and like it's harder for them to like climb up, it's too much work. And then like everything that's happening with the monsters and how that relates to where I assume the story is now going, but like we're like 400 pages in and we still don't really know where the story is going. But now she's starting to do stuff, which is good. And yeah, that's the stuff that I think is interesting. I really think the world building is great. It's just the characters feel very, very weak. And I'm hoping that the last 100 pages will save this book, but right now I'm just not impressed by it. So I'm going to continue to read this book and I'll update you when I finish it. So I will see then with my final thoughts and the rating for this book. I just finished Shield of Sparrows, and I am unfortunately very disappointed in this book. It has so much potential to be a really great book, but unfortunately it feels like they released it before they could have really tapped that potential. The whole idea of like these monsters and the magic and the world and like the Voster priests, like all of that is so cool, and the setting is so different because they're literally like in this kind of forest up high in like little tree houses. There are these like big bird monsters called the Crux that migrate every 30 years and just like destroy everything in their path, which is super neat. But this book is just boring. Nothing happens, and all of the characters are as bland as like cheap bread. Except for Evie. Evie is literally the only character I actually like and care about in this entire book, and she's a 4-year-old girl who literally does way more than the main character. Like Evie should have been the main character of this book because she actually does stuff. Because our main character, she's so, like she doesn't do anything. She's very passive. She doesn't have a personality. She just kind of exists as the story plays out around her. She
suddenly becomes very good for like one moment at something that makes no sense for her to be good at. And she asks so many questions and never gets answers to it. Like, what is the point? Like, I think it's great that our character wants to ask questions and investigate, but the thing is that she doesn't investigate anything, like, at all. And when something really interesting is about to happen, it's always interrupted. Like, she finds these really cool books. It's like, oh, but we're being interrupted because there's monsters attacking, so I'll come back and look at those books later. But it's like, but those seem interesting and important to the story. Or when something happens with the Voster priest, and it's like, wait, what are you talking about? Oh, but wait, monsters are attacking, so now we never have this conversation about something that's actually interesting. And that's the entire book. Stuff that's about to happen, like stuff that's gonna be cool and reveal where the story is going, and like secrets and stuff, we never get to know about it because it's always interrupted. Like, it happens constantly in this book, and I almost raged through it, to be honest. And then there's zero chemistry between the two main leads. The spicy scenes are really boring, and like the lead up was not worth what you get, because like I didn't feel anything for these characters. There was no slow burn. They just suddenly, oh hey, like I guess we're in love with each other and like let's spend the night together. And it's like, even that scene was boring. Everything about this book was really boring, which is sad, because like I said, there's so much potential that could be pulled from this book. I think if there was a stronger editor on this, they would have been like, okay, yeah, like there's a lot of really good pieces. We need to pull those out more and highlight them, because the plot doesn't really take place until like the last 100 pages or so. But that stuff should have happened way earlier, because like literally nothing else happens in this book. The first 100 pages are decent. The last 100 pages are decent. Everything else in between. This is a 510 word book, and only 200 of the pages had stuff that was like kind of cool. But even then, I wasn't like obsessed with it. I didn't care about the ending. It felt like there was a lot of just for shock factor to make you want to read the second book. And I don't want to read the second book. So I did go in, as I mentioned, like I did go in with expectations that the pretty covers sometimes lie to you. And for me, the pretty covers did lie to me. This is similar to The Courtin of Bristol Keats, where I was really excited about it because it's a really popular book, but that book really disappointed me as well. Similarly, not the exact same way, but in the ways that just nothing really happened in that book. Everything happened off screen. And in this book, the main character just doesn't do anything interesting. All the interesting characters are doing other stuff, and she just never does anything cool. She walks around a lot, but she doesn't discover anything ever. And like, I'm just disappointed. I'm really disappointed because I really wanted to like this, but I probably should have DNFed it, to be honest. And the only reason I didn't is because I heard that there's a really cool ending, but even the ending of this book didn't save it. They could have done so much more with it. And I think that if there was a bit more time spent in the structure of this book, developing the characters further and making it more exciting, that would have been great, because there's all the right pieces, just not the right execution. So today we are going to be awarding Shield of Sparrows a total of 2.5 stars. Yeah, that's where we're at. I don't like having to give ratings like that, but that's the way it is. Again, this is my opinion. I know a lot of people really like this book. There's so many 5-star reviews of this book. So perhaps this is just like, I have read so many romantasy books that maybe when they just get too similar, they get too repetitive. But for me, the things that I love about romantasy is like the tension between the characters, the cool world, the exciting action, like cool discoveries. And the only thing that this book had was the cool world. Everything else just wasn't strong for me. It didn't stick for me, and it just wasn't for me. But just because it's not for me doesn't mean it might not be for you. I just didn't have the best experience with this book. It could be maybe because it was overhyped, but I did purposely lower the expectations so they weren't just like super, super high, because I have had a couple of experiences like this now where these beautiful, amazing, cool sounding books just don't do it for me. And I honestly, I just think that people aren't taking the time to edit these books. Like, there is nothing wrong with editing your book and taking a long time of like going through it and making sure it makes sense and fleshing out your characters. Like, this feels like it was like maybe the second draft of the book, and I think that there should have been far more edits to make it to the level that it deserves to be, because like I said, there's so much potential in this book, and I really do hope that because people love this book so much, that the second book, the author is able to take the time to make the edits, make the characters better, make the story better, and just, yeah, but I won't be reading the second book. It's not for me. So the next book that I'm going to be reading is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this book has been on my most anticipated books of 2025 list since I heard about it last year. So I'm really excited. This is what I'm going to be reading next. So if you're interested in watching me read Atmosphere or any other book that happens to be on my never-ending TBR, definitely hit subscribe if you haven't already. And with that, I'm going to wish you warm wishes and fish kisses, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!